Hey everyone, and in today's video I'm going to tell you why I chose Canon G5X over Canon G7X and Sony RX100 Mark IV. Now I know I have some explaining to do because, as some of you may know, recently I've made an unboxing video of Sony RX100 Mark IV, and I told you that soon I will be making a video as of why I chose the Sony camera over Canon G7X. Now, I still believe that the Sony one is a lot better than the Canon G7X. However, I wasn't entirely happy, so I ended up returning it and I bought Canon G5X instead. For my personal liking, this one is much better, and I will get into details as of why I preferred this one. But firstly, I'm going to compare this one to G7X. So I feel like the only thing that people could not like about this one compared to G7X is the fact that this one is slightly bigger and slightly heavier, but I don't think it's heavy at all or very big at all. The only thing is it may not fit in your pocket if you like to carry your cameras in your pockets or like in a very small bag. Then perhaps this one won't fit into that. And some people could also not like the fact that this one has a flip out screen, not a flip up screen. However, for me, flip out screen is much better than a flip up screen, and both the Sony and the Canon G7X had the flip up screen, not the flip out screen. So straight away I preferred this about this camera. Because, first of all, I think one of the most obvious things, with a flip out screen you can actually protect your screen and store it like this, which you can't do with a flip up screen. It doesn't have to be stored kind of like this, but it can be for taking pictures on the go and anything like that. And the second thing with a flip out screen, which could be only me, but because I have a flip out screen on my big camera that I use to film my sitting down videos, I'm kind of used to not looking at myself but looking at the lens. Whereas for the flip up screen it was kind of harder for me, especially because it almost felt like it was closer to the actual lens, and whenever I would look at the lens I could clearly see myself on the flip up screen. I found it really hard not to look at myself with a flip out screen, a lot harder than with a flip out screen, but that could be only me. But anyway, one of the main reasons why I prefer this camera to G7X is its quality. Its quality is definitely much better than on G7X, and I know I am very picky with my quality because so many people have been talking about G7X as the best camera for videography that takes all these beautiful videos, whereas I found them very grainy compared to, for example, Sony RX100 Mark IV, which is why I prefer Sony RX100 Mark IV. The quality of the video definitely is a lot better than on G7X with both this one and the Sony camera. I just didn't like the quality of the Canon G7X, and I will tell you what I didn't like about it. Like, if you want to use this camera purely for vlogging yourself, your face would be quite clear in Canon G7X, but it would really lose focus when it comes to the objects further away. So say if you're on holiday and you want to film the surroundings, film the objects that are further away, the quality would be nowhere near as good as it would be showing your face. For the outfit videos, for example, Canon G7X would underperform. And if you guys don't believe me, you can just put into search bar outfits of the week Canon G7X or lookbook Canon G7X and see other people's lookbooks and outfit videos where the quality just wouldn't be so great. This one is much better with the video quality, and so is the Sony. Now the second big thing is the audio quality. I hated the audio quality on Canon G7X because it constantly made the clicking sound, the clicking noise when it was focusing. I mean, some people don't get bothered by these things, but for me personally, it was always really irritating to hear like a clicking sound everywhere just because the camera was trying to stay in focus or was trying to focus on something different, it would make a clicking sound. You could argue that with a Sony camera, when you disable the wind noise, the sound becomes significantly quieter, the audio becomes significantly quieter than on G7X, but at least you don't get that clicking sound. You can perhaps hear a little bit of a clicking sound with this one, but it's nowhere near as bad as with the Canon G7X. This one has a viewfinder. Sony one also has a viewfinder, so if a viewfinder is something you are into, especially if you are thinking about buying these cameras mostly for photography, then a viewfinder is a very good addition. I also like this. Now, I don't know the exact name for this, so sorry if I sound very uneducated, but this is basically where you put your microphone or where you put your filming lights on, like a small portable filming lights. Now, none of these cameras, none of the 3 cameras have microphone jack, but for me personally, I think this is a very good addition to put on a light, a filming light, if I want to vlog in a dark environment, for traveling, for holiday, when I don't want to bring like some massive lights, I just want to bring a portable light with me. I can just attach it on here. But yeah, for me, between this one and Canon G7X, this one beats the G7X by far by the quality, especially for the videography. If you are just thinking about purely taking pictures, then I probably wouldn't bother. I probably would stick with the G7X, but if you are thinking about taking videos mainly, then this one is by far your better choice because of the quality of the videos and with the audio, and also because Canon G7X, after a few months of you using it, it starts to lose the focus, so it will be a lot harder to focus, whereas this one, this camera is brilliant with focus. It's so good. And apparently, and I don't know this because I haven't had this camera for too long to tell you whether this will or will not lose the focus, but from what I've heard from other people and from Canon, it's not meant to lose the focus like the G7X. And one more thing, even though Canon G7X performs very nice in low light, this one performs better. I was honestly so surprised. This one performs way better than both G7X and especially the Sony one. The Sony one starts to become quite grainy and quite yellow in a dark environment, whereas this one just brightens everything up. Speaking about the Sony, yes, Sony provides you with 4K videos, but even though it provides you with 4K videos, it overheats after 3 to 5 minutes of usage, which is not very practical at all. Also, many devices, many computers and many laptops still can't handle 4K videos, many monitors I mean, and many video editing softwares also have problems with 4K videos. They take a lot more of your memory, and they also take a lot longer to compress and to edit. If you really want 4K videos and you don't care about your camera overheating, then yes, Sony would be the camera for you. The things that I like more about this one than the Sony, every time I was going to use that Sony camera, I had to format my SD card. The majority of my cameras are Canons, but I have a Nikon camera and a Pentax camera, and whenever I want to use them, I don't have to format my SD card to fit them. I can just use the same one that I use with my Canon cameras, whereas for that Sony one, I don't know if it's with every single Sony ones or whether it was just with RX100 Mark IV, I had to format my SD card, which was a bit of a pain, and in the long run I would probably have to have separate SD cards for my different cameras. Also the colors of the videos, the Sony ones, even though I did try to play with the white balance and with the different features, they had like a color features and things like that, and I did try to play with them. The colors for the most part in the Sony were very kind of dull, not very saturated for the videos. I'm talking purely about the videos. Like there was no color to them, and this one, the colors are much nicer with just your standard settings, whereas the colors in the Sony, I personally didn't like the colors of the Sony. They made everything look slightly more miserable. The battery charger that the Sony came with, which I did mention during the unboxing, I was quite surprised with the charger. In order to charge the batteries, you had to keep the batteries inside the Sony camera and plug the actual camera into the charger, which I thought was really bad and impractical, because if you have spare batteries, you might as well just charge one battery and you still can use your camera with the other battery. I presume, I hope you could buy an additional charger, different charger, that would actually allow you to just put the battery inside the charger and charge it. But then again, even if you could, why would you have to? One of the main ones, or probably my main one, as to why I returned the Sony camera, and that was its image quality. I know nothing to do with videos, and I'm sorry if you really like the Sony RX100 Mark IV picture quality, but I hated it. And yes, I bought the camera for the videos, but also, especially because I travel a lot and I go on holiday a lot, I want to take one camera with me that will take beautiful videos, but also beautiful pictures as well. And I never thought with the Sony, I didn't make much research before I bought the camera about the pictures, because it wasn't even something that I was worried about. I was purely worried about videos, because I thought every camera these days, especially every point and shoot camera these days, have very similar picture quality, and apparently that's not the case. First of all, the pictures, unlike the videos on the Sony camera, were very oversaturated. Now, I usually love saturation, but with the Sony one, they were too saturated. They were looking really weird, not really real at all. They were looking fake, and that's just not it, you guys. The pictures were very sharpened. Now, if you know a little bit about photography, you will know that the sharp pictures is something very difficult to reduce in the post-production. You can very easily make a picture very sharp in the post-production if the picture wasn't sharp to begin with. But if you take a picture that's very sharp, it's difficult to make it less sharp in the post-production. Not to even mention that for the average consumer, we want to be able to take the pictures that we will be happy with without the need of editing. I don't think many people even have or know much about photo editing softwares. They just want to take pictures without the need of then enhancing them. Pictures of random objects, yes, they looked weird, they looked oversaturated and over sharpened, but I didn't really mind them so much. But pictures of people, of me, of my friends, of my family, especially from close, they looked really bad, really horrible, really hated them. And so what, maybe the videos were okay. Not, actually I prefer the videos of this one, but that could be down to the preference. The quality of the Sony videos was really good, I just didn't like the colors. However, with the pictures, that was a completely different story. Plus all the other reasons that I mentioned. But if I'm completely honest, I don't think I would even bother returning the Sony camera if it wasn't because of the pictures. So yeah, you guys, that has been for my video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you didn't, please like it and subscribe to me if you're not already, and I'll see you next one. Bye.